Hello everyone. Let us continue from the last class. Last class we had stopped with Romeo's verse. How Romeo described Juliet's beauty, how he was fascinated by her eternal beauty was what we described and discussed in the last class. And now let us continue with Juliet's verse this class. Here I stopped the story where Romeo proposed to Juliet in a balcony scene. Last class I said this is a very famous scene when we come across Romeo Juliet in the internet. This is the scene where Romeo proposes Juliet in the balcony. Then further on what happens is they would decide to get married the next day and they would take leave. They would decide that they would get married the very next day because Juliet's parents had planned to get Juliet married to Paris. So in order to avoid the marriage, she wanted to get married as earlier as possible to Romeo. I have told you that even Juliet was in crush or fallen for Romeo there. In the last class itself I said even she had the similar implicit feeling towards Romeo. And as they decided to get married, Romeo would go back to Friar Lawrence. Last class I had introduced Friar Lawrence to you. He is the father. Romeo would go to Father Friar Lawrence and request him to arrange for a marriage wherein Romeo and Juliet could get married. And here to Juliet, nurse would help. Nurse would take Juliet. Somehow she would manage everything, and she would take Juliet to the church where in front of the priest they both would get married. Yes, they would definitely get married. After marriage, Romeo will decide that he would promise Juliet that he would come by night. That day, night, he would come and meet Juliet in the same place, the balcony. And through balcony, he says that I will come and meet you at night, the same place where we met earlier, where we met yesterday. And hence, she would go back to Capulet Palace, and Romeo would go back to Montague Palace. But as Romeo go back to the palace, there he finds Tybalt is in a duel with his friends Mercutio and Benvolio. And in this duel is a fight with a weapon like sword or something which they were using earlier. And in that fight, what had happened is Tybalt had killed Romeo's friend, Benvolio and Mercutio. And because in that rage, Romeo also feels that he lost his friends, and this is all because of Tybalt. What Romeo would do is, he would take the same sword and stab Tybalt, and instantly Tybalt will die. And because of this, the Montague Romeo would be banished from Verona. So that was the punishment given to Romeo. See, once someone commits a crime or a murder has happened, they would be punished. Here the sentence was not to imprison him. His sentence was to banish him from the place Verona. Now Capulet's palace was in Verona only, and he is banished from Verona, but he had promised Juliet that he would come back. So this is the scene, and this is where Juliet is eagerly waiting for her husband Romeo. And now she starts her lines, and this is the verse from Act 3. It is where Juliet is eagerly waiting for her husband to come and to make love. So let us have a pictorial form of what she is doing. She is waiting. She's waiting. She's looking at the sky. It is evening, and she wants the evening to pass as soon, and she is welcoming night. She says, "Come night, come Romeo, come thou day in night, for thou wilt lie upon the wings of night, whiter than new snow on a raven's back. Come, gentle night, come loving, black broad night. Give me my Romeo, and when I shall die, take him and cut him out in little stars, and he will make the face of heaven so fine that all the world will be in love with night, and pay no worship to the garrison." This is how she describes Romeo's personality. She says, "Night, please come soon." She doesn't want the evening, she wants the evening to pass on, and she is welcoming the night. She says, come night, come sooner, because who would come in the night? Romeo had promised that he would come in the night, so she tells that, come Romeo, so that night, and so that Romeo would come. Though day in night, you are like a day in night. So here Juliet is praising Romeo, calling him a bright daylight in the night. Okay, when he enters, he would be glooming, he would be shining so bright as a daylight in the night. For thou wilt lie upon the wings of night. You know what is wilt? W-I-L-T, wilt is where the leaves will lose the water through transpiration and they just dry off. They don't totally dry off, they would lose their water and they would be dull. This is how she calls, you may be tired. She says, Romeo, you may be very tired. So what you do is, you lie upon the wings of night. You can come here to me and lie on my lap. See, this is the wings of night. And she compares the wings of night to a raven. What is raven? Raven is a black crow. See the comparison. Here she compares wings of night to raven, and she compares Romeo to a new snow. Okay, very bright new snow. First she compared Romeo as a daylight in the night sky, and now she says that you are whiter than new snow. She tells, you are not just white, you are very white, brighter than a new snow, and you can come lying upon the raven's back. Raven is a black crow. Yeah, this is how she says. She says, you are built, you are very tired, you can lie upon the wings of night, you are much brighter than that new snow. See, even the crow is such a dark crow, total dark black crow. Crow is always black, but raven is completely black crow. On that, if a new snow has fallen, it would definitely be outstanding or brighter enough. So she calls Romeo as that white new snow. Then she personifies Romeo as a gentle knight. She says that once Romeo has come in the night, she feels that night as so gentle night. Because who's next to her? Romeo is next to her. So she says, come gentle night, come loving, black browed night. When you are like a bright snow, your brows only are black. So she calls Romeo, she personifies Romeo as a black-browed knight. Then she requests the night, and she requests the eternal source or eternal power, to give her Romeo to her. So she requests, give me my Romeo, and when I shall die, then she says, when I don't have life anymore and when I die, you can take him and cut him into little stars. Then too, she wants to immortalize Romeo. See the esteem, passionate love what Juliet had towards Romeo. After her death also, she wants him to be immortalized. So what she calls her is, she tells that he can be like the star. You can cut him into small stars, small pieces of star, and when he becomes the face of heaven, the entire sky would look so bright. Yeah. The implicit feeling what Juliet had towards Romeo, after her death, she wanted him to be the little stars. So she requests the eternal source to cut him into little stars and make him the face of heaven. Throw him on the sky and he would brighten the sky as star. And later on, she says that people would fall in love with only the night sky. Why? Because Romeo is making the face of heaven so bright. So everyone would fall in love with the night sky and they will stop worshipping the garish sun. What is garish sun? Garish meaning is something which is burning very bright. So everyone would deny worshipping the bright burning sun and instead they would love soothing little stars and night sky. Why? Because Romeo would be the face of heaven. This is how Juliet immortalizes Romeo. Even after her death, she wants Romeo to be forever. And this is the passionate love what she shows towards Romeo, and this is how she describes Romeo's personality also. Later on what happens, this is the worst part. Later on what happens, she says, see, these all are verse lines. Give me my Romeo, and when I shall die, take him and cut him out in little stars. When he shall die, when I shall die. Both are similar. When he shall die, you can cut him into little stars after his death. But she says that when I shall die, when I am no more, after that you can take Romeo, and then the world will be in love only with night. They will not worship, or they won't pray the bright burning sun. Now this is the verse part completed. Later on what happens is, this is just a story which I had started and now I have to complete. Juliet, after waiting for Romeo would come back and they would make love, and that night they would be together. Very next day, Juliet's marriage was there, and that would get postponed to another day because Tybalt would be dead, and the entire family would be mourning, no? So the marriage would be postponed for the next day. So that in that time what Juliet would do, Juliet knew that she is married to Romeo, but Juliet's family didn't know that. Juliet would go to Friar Lawrence. He is Friar Lawrence who helped those two young lovers to get married. Why did he do that? He did that because he wanted the hatredness or the vengefulness amongst those two families to come to end. See, these Romeo and Juliet family, that is Montagues and Capulet family, always had the hatredness amongst them. He wanted to end that hatredness amongst them. So what did he do? He actually helped them get married. In the wish, or in that that these two families will give up their feud, will give up their rage and vengefulness, and they would be a very close families together. Those two noble families will come together. It would be Friar Lawrence's wish. Now Juliet would come to the same guy, same priest, and she requests that somehow you have to help me out. I cannot get married to Paris. You know that I am married to Romeo. Now I can't get married to Paris. It is now your duty to help me, protect me from getting married to Paris. Now Friar Lawrence would get confused how to help this young teen girl. So then what he does is, he would have a sleeping potion, some secret sleeping potion. He would mix that sleeping potion and give it to Juliet, telling that you can have the small amount of sleeping potion. Once you have it, you will lie sleepy. You will lie sleepy, people would feel that you are dead, and I will pass this news that you have taken a sleeping potion to Romeo. He would be clear, or he would know that you are not dead, you are alive, and you are just having the sleeping potion and sleeping. Then you can come back to life after 48 or 24 hours. After some time you can come back to life, then you both can be together. By the time this marriage and the proposal and everything would shatter down. This plan Friar Lawrence would explain to Juliet, and Juliet also will take the sleeping potion. She takes the sleeping potion and she lies dead. Okay, she is not dead, she is sleepy, she is sleeping there, but people would feel that she is dead. Why? Because this is a secret potion which Friar Lawrence had made in order to keep her numb and dead for some time. And Friar Lawrence would try to give this information to Romeo also, but Romeo was banished from Verona. He couldn't get the information in the particular time. In the meanwhile, what happens is, he gets other source of news from the Montague family, or some of the Montague, that Juliet is dead. Instead of getting the news from the servant that it is a secret potion or a secret sleepy potion which she had taken, he gets the news that Juliet had killed herself, she is dead. So once he gets to know that she is dead, he would poison himself. He would poison himself when he sees Juliet lying dead on the bed. He feels that he cannot survive or live without Juliet, because she is the love of his life. So later on, after some time, after Romeo's death, see here Romeo is watching Juliet's beauty and she is dead here. Romeo feels that she is no more, and Romeo would poison himself. After this, after some time of Romeo's death, Juliet would come back to life because she had that sleeping potion, and here she feels so bad for herself that how destiny brought this end to both of us. And she takes the dagger from Romeo's pocket and then she stabs herself to death. Here ends the love story of Romeo and Juliet. As in the beginning I said, they are star-crossed lovers. They were very unfortunate. Their love was never successful. They were teen lovers whose love story ended with the death. And this is the end of Romeo and Juliet. Let us continue with the verse. The complete story I have narrated you with the pictorial representation. Here is the verse. Let me read it for you once. Come night. This is how Juliet calls the night. Come night, come Romeo. Why is she calling night? Because Romeo would come by night. Come you. This is though means you, day in night. Whom is she calling day in night? Romeo is like a bright day in night. For thou wilt lie upon the wings of night. You may be tired. She says, Romeo, you are very tired. So what you do? You just lie upon the wings of night. Whiter than new snow. She calls Romeo as a new snow. Romeo is called new snow here. And night is called as raven's back. Raven is a black crow. I showed you in the picture. Come gentle night. Now when Romeo is next to her, she says that the night is gentle night. Come gentle night, come loving black browed night. Here she personifies Romeo as black browed night. Give me my Romeo, and when I shall die, please give me she requests the eternal source to give her Romeo to her, and then she says after her death, you can take back the Romeo and cut him into little stars, put him in the sky, and he will make the face of heaven so bright. So here she says that he would make the face of heaven so fine. These lines shows how Juliet would immortalize Romeo. Juliet always wanted Romeo to live forever. This is how she immortalizes Romeo as in beautiful night sky with twinkling stars. That all the world will be in love with night. Once Romeo makes the face of heaven, entire world would be love in only with night, and they would never pay their worship or they would never like the garish sun. Garish is burning bright or very bright sun. Of course, sun is very bright. Instead of praying bright sun, they would pray and they would fall in love with twinkling stars because Romeo is the star and he would make the face of heaven. Yes, here you have to observe metaphor. Metaphor is the direct comparison or symbolization of something, some object with the other. Here Romeo is compared to new snow, okay, without using as, like, such. If comparison is there, direct symbolization is there, then that is metaphor. In the verse you would have observed that Romeo is compared to new snow and night is compared to raven. Raven is the black crow. And next she has personified the night as Romeo. So she calls the night as gentle night because Romeo's presence would be there. She also says night is black browed night because black browed person is Romeo. So this is the personification of Romeo with night. Then Romeo is also personified as little stars and face of heaven. See, the non-living object or non-living thing or the eternal source has been given a human quality. So this is all about Romeo and Juliet. You know the complete story. You know the Romeo's verse with the grammatical points, the simile, metaphor and personification. You know Juliet's verse today, and you know even the metaphor and personification used here. So please revise, go back and watch both the videos, and this is the end of Romeo and Juliet. Thank you.